Hello, everybody. You have a science test on Friday on our genetics, traits, and behaviors unit. And so this is just a refresher because we've been out for a couple days so that when you come back and it's time to fill out the study guide, you'll be ready. I'm going to first go over our vocabulary, and I am going to let you know that there's a lot of repetition over this lesson, over this video. When you're thinking about traits and behaviors, you need to first think about what you inherit from your biological relatives or what you acquire through life and experiences. Inherited traits are those that are passed down from our biological relatives. They come to us through our DNA. Acquired traits are traits that we change because of our learning or our experiences. Some of our traits are physical, and these are traits that you can see on the body. And some of these traits are behavioral. These are traits that we witness through watching someone's action. So if we look at this in a nice graphic organizer, you can see that we have traits that are either separated into inherited from our DNA, our biological relatives, or acquired through experiences and learning. Inherited traits can be physical, they can be those that you see on the body, or they can be behaviors, which are instinctual. Acquired traits can also be physical traits, those that you see, or learned behaviors. So both acquired and physical traits, acquired and inherited traits, have physical traits and behavioral traits, but the definition of each is different. Let's look again at the definition. So inherited traits come from our biological relatives and are in our DNA. Examples of physical traits that are inherited might be our hair color, our skin color, our height, our eye color. Behaviors that are inherited through biological relatives might be, if you are a bear, your inherited behavior is hibernation. For all animals, an inherited trait that's a behavior would be breathing. For children, we are born learning how to cry, although later we learn how to cry for specific things. So behaviors can start off being inherited and then change to learned. Acquired traits are those that we get through our life experiences, whether they're done to us or taught to us. So a physical acquired trait might be a scar that you get, or maybe getting your ears pierced. That is something that has changed. You were not born with. And when you have a child, or when the animal we're talking about has a child, they will not be born with that scar or those pierced ears. Learned behaviors come through experiences. Whoops. For example, singing and hunting. Animals might be born with the inclination to hunt, but it's their parents that teach them how to do so. The same with people. So sometimes you're not sure. How do I know if something is inherited or a behavior or acquired? So you can ask certain questions. Is this an inherited physical trait? Does this come from my DNA? I might ask, well, why does a bird have brown feathers? Why do some animals look like their surroundings? Are they born camouflaged? Why do I have brown hair? Did that come from my parents, or did I dye my hair brown? If it came from my parents, then, or my biological relatives, then it's a physical trait that's inherited. But if I dyed my hair brown, that's going to be an acquired physical trait. What about inherited behaviors, instinctual behaviors? Fish swim automatically when they are born. That is an instinct. So can fish swim when they are born? If we answer that, we can learn whether this is an inherited instinctual behavior. Do we have to learn how to breathe? Why do some animals live in packs or groups? Well, what if I want to know if something is an acquired physical trait? I would ask, well, did this change the animal's appearance, like a scar? Can I change this trait back? For example, if I'm wearing colored contacts and I take them out, does that once again change my appearance? Also, will my offspring be born with that acquired physical trait? If so, it's not acquired, it's inherited. Acquired behaviors have to do with whether they were learned or taught. Did I learn how to play football, or was I born knowing how to play football? Did my parents or did a animal's parents teach them how to hunt? If it's something that was taught to them or they watched and learned, it's acquired. If it's something that they were born with, it's inherited. So let's just one more time think about our instincts versus learned behaviors, comparing and contrasting. So instincts are behaviors that we're born knowing how to do. We are born knowing how to cry, how to breathe, how to look around once our eyes open and observe the world around us. As I mentioned, later crying becomes acquired or learned because we learned how to cry to get things. But when we're born, we just know how to cry. Animals may be born knowing how to swim, breathe, or plants are born knowing to grow to the sun. Learned behaviors are behaviors we are taught or learn through experiences. We learn that when we are hungry, we go find something to eat. When animals learn how to hunt from its parents, when a dog owner opens a can of food, the dog will come for its meal. Dogs don't eat canned food in the wild. This is a learned behavior. When you open that can opener or set out that bowl of food, that the dog comes running to it. If the dog knew how to do that when it was born, then that would be instinctual. But since we've taught our dogs that when we use the can opener or when we set the bowl down, that the dog will come for the food, that is an acquired behavior. And again, physical inherited traits versus physical acquired traits. Remember that inherited traits come from biological relatives. They're they come in our DNA, and they generally don't change on a permanent basis. For example, I can change my hair color, but if I have offspring, my hair color will not be that pink color that I dyed it for my child. They will have my natural hair color. Acquired traits are those that change because of our experience. If I get hurt or get a scar, my physical traits, the way I look, will change. I can also make those changes purposefully on my own, like getting colored contact lenses. So just again, remember that we all have traits. Some are inherited, some are acquired or learned. We always have physical traits in both, but the ones that are acquired are learned. The ones that are inherited come from our DNA. Behaviors that are inherited are instinctual. We just automatically know how to do them when we're born, or animals, versus learned behaviors come through being taught or watching and having experiences. Good luck on the test on Friday.